Artefact is a short, elegant journaling RPG written by Jack Harrison. Its second edition was published in 2020, and it is what I'm reviewing in this video. The game is available on itch.io in PDF and comes with the core rules, which run 36 amply spaced pages, some form-fillable worksheets, a couple of game-enhancing documents, and a playlist of 11 songs that you can listen to while playing the game. I'll address each of these one by one. Essentially, this game is this. You sit down in a quiet place by yourself and you choose from one of 9 types of items, but these are no ordinary items, they're artifacts with an E. Then what you do is give that artifact some traits, not just traits like durable or shiny, but things like loyal or knowing or talkative, because this artifact is your character and it is sentient. The life and demise of your artifact is organized into 3 acts. For each act, you go through a series of steps describing the artifact's interaction with its keeper and further describe some aspects of the artifact itself. Act 1 will see 2 keepers, as will Act 2, and the final act will see anywhere from 1 to several keepers. In the end, the artifact will have been around for years or possibly centuries or millennia, and will be lost to the sands of time. One of the most peculiar aspects of the game is how, in between each act, you are asked to legitimately stop and wait. Depending on how much time you've chosen to elapse before the artifact's next keeper comes into possession of it, you could be sitting around in silence for no time at all or up to 6 minutes. And while you're sitting around, there's actually a soundtrack for you to listen to. Each of the songs on the playlist correspond to the time interval that your artifact spends in waiting. The tracks are wispy, epic, sometimes dark affairs filled with crackling fires, temple bells, soaring meditation synth, and poignant piano that practically injects a time-lapse camera view of your artifact into your head. Day and night whip by, plants grow and wither, people flit about at impossible speed. It's a pretty cool experience if you can get your head in the right place there. There are a few extras that come with the game besides the soundtrack. One is a form-fillable PDF that can help you organize play. It doesn't really accommodate any long-form writing, but it's one way to play the game. Another extra is a handy one-page keeper generator. It's dice-driven, unlike the main book itself. Then there's a wildly creative little minigame meant to be written out inside of one interlude of the main game, in which your artifact rests for months, years, or centuries next to a colony of intelligent creatures, and it observes their life cycles. In the minigame, you describe the generational struggles of that colony of creatures and the terms of your artifact's departure. Also, there's a professional narration of the rules of the game itself, which I thought was pretty neat.
Charity have a series of tips and support options available online.
Here are my thoughts on Artefact. Cons. Tip of the iceberg. You don't have to play many sessions of Artefact to realize that it can be greatly expanded. If you have any amount of game designer inside of you, it's almost impossible to resist adding more artifact questions, keeper types, and entries to the other critical tables, since the game only comes with 6 items in each of these tables, or lists. In a way, the game seems like a tantalizing teaser for a lengthier game, or like a really formal proof of concept. I guess if I had my druthers, this game would be 3 times longer, specifically the tables, and they'd all be organized so you could throw dice and get some random results. Then I'd be sitting on a pretty mean little magical item story machine. Fantasy theme only. I actually tried to ramrod a sci-fi artifact into one of my sessions, and it was a bit awkward. It took a lot of adaptation because the game firmly has the Tolkien Gygaxian fantasy theme in mind. Perhaps the author could put out a sequel that does sci-fi, or honestly, you could adapt it yourself with not much work. Pros. Intricately inspiring. This game sits within 3 different intersecting circles. First and foremost, it's a role-playing game. You assume the role of a magical object. Second, it's a creative writing exercise. Like pretty much all solo journaling games, this one asks you to flex your imagination, and if you have the time and inclination, your story writing skills. Third, it's a meditation tool. Instead of just being a guide on how to meditate, it sideloads the practice in between the lines, or in this case, in between the ages of your artifact's lifespan. And it doesn't just tell you to chill, it provides you with a soundtrack to help you do it. Enhances other games. This is one of those rare RPGs that can feed another RPG that you're running with hardly any tweaks or adjustments. It does so by helping you generate magical items with potentially very complex histories, prejudices, and motivations. Of course, you still have to figure out how to incorporate such items into a game without boring your players to death with some long written out item history, but hopefully you can figure that part out. Artefact deserves a standing ovation for the door that it opens. It asks you to go all the way on the backstory of some magical item and to maybe relax a little in the process. Honestly, I may not have been sold on the meditation angle of this game if it hadn't been for the music, but as it stands, it comes off as genuinely well conceived. You can get the Artefact package in PDF on itch. I've got links down below. Thanks as always for watching. This is Dave signing off. See ya.